Under the same moon, we share the love. Embracing the differences like hand in glove. Spreading peace and joy, it's a beautiful sight. Together we shine in each other's light. And why do we stand in love's pure might? Watching the world share in love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.
Okay, thank you for tuning in to Watching the World. We have a good noon show for each and every one of you. A lot of you are on your lunch break. So what we do here, we find the hot clips that you may have missed this morning or yesterday evening, and we bring those clips to you so that you don't have to do all the searching, folks. All you have to do is come here and enjoy the clips. Perhaps we even talk about it. I try to read your comments. Yes, indeed, I try to read them. So please do not put vulgar words or say things in the comments that go against the YouTube standards, folks. We do not want it. We can't have it. We're trying to obey the rules. That's just how it goes, folks. So let me just give you a little landscape. On Monday, we're shooting a music video in a big area of New York City. I'm assisting someone that's tied to celebrities and producing a very good hit. I think it's going to be a game changer, and I'm glad to be chosen to be a part of the movement, folks. So stay tuned. I'll be live. I don't want to say the location because we don't want too many people showing up. And sometimes there's bad actors, folks, and we don't like the bad actors. There was a lot of bad actors, folks. I cover court cases. You probably saw that I was covering Sean Diddy Combs' trial every day in the courtroom. I keep saying that, in the main courtroom. I even covered the jury selection, so I know a lot about that case. I have a lot of cases coming up where I'll be traveling across the United States, covering the cases to bring you the real truth about what's happening. In most of these cases, let me tell you what I find. I find that people lie. People tell lies that are very salacious, and they take away from the real story, folks. They take away from it. So that's why I do what I do. But today we're going to be talking about Donald Trump, Joe Biden. What about Joe Biden and this autopen? A lot of people were wondering, what was Joe Biden doing all those years? And how did he get so much done? Well, they have this allegation out that Joe Biden was using an autopen. Yep, so we have the video on it. Last night, we had 37,000 people that came through. A lot of people, a lot of new members, a lot of new subscribers. Shout out to each and every one of you. Thank you guys that take the time to hit the like button. If you could do so, it helps promote the channel. It also helps us to produce at a higher level because there's a need for the material. And it appears to be, if that many people are coming through, I really appreciate each and every one of you. Even if you don't like the way I do things, perhaps we can talk about it. You feel free to say what you don't like about me. I'm not a very sensitive guy, so have at it, folks. However, be kind to the people in the chat. There's no need to get too crazy. So right now we're going to get to some of the videos that have come out. There's one. Hello to you, Michelle. Michelle is in the building, folks. We have Bordeaux always here early. I appreciate you guys. Michonne is here too. Good afternoon, Mel and chat. Welcome in. And thanks for joining. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it. Eric is in the building, everyone. Eric is a strong supporter and a part of the Watching the World, and it's nice to have him on deck as well. So let's get to some of these videos and see what's really happening today. Yesterday, I pointed out that I would share a video today that there is a letter, folks. Now, I don't have this letter in my hand, but there appears to be a letter that Pam Bondi wrote that emphasizes that there were a list, folks, that there is a list. So let's have a look at it.
There is a smoking gun letter.
We want to give a lot of credit to this gentleman, David Pacman, folks. So I just want to make that clear. I'm going to make sure I put his information in the description so that he get his proper credits, but he's done the homework. he has this letter that I think is a game changer for each and every one of us. I think if you listen to what's being said, it makes the government appear to be not so honest, folks. I don't know what's going on.
Dated February 27th, 2025, that proves that the Trump administration had and has an Epstein list. Is it complete? Well, we don't know, but we now know that they are lying. And here's the critical aspect of it. You don't need to speculate. You don't need to email anyone. You don't need to hack into anything. Thanks to Freedom of Information Act requests, we have the letter.
Okay, we have the letter, folks. John Smith says, line mustache having Okay, Mashona says the views and opinions in this chat are that of those expressing them and does not reflect the views and opinions of the host. Thank you for joining. Shout out to you. Thank you very much, Mashona. I appreciate that as well. All right. Okay, so that covers that. Eric says, hi, Mashona. Says hi to you. So let's check out this letter in detail and see what's going on.
That proves they have way more than they are claiming to have. This is a letter from the Office of the Attorney General, meaning Pam Bondi. The letter is signed by Pam Bondi, written to FBI Director Kash Patel. Folks, these are public documents, okay? Dear Director Patel, before you came into office, I requested the full and complete files related to Jeffrey Epstein. In response to this request, this is the key, I received approximately 200 pages of documents, which consisted primarily of flight logs, Epstein's list of contacts.
So you hear that? There is a list of Epstein's contacts and also flight logs. 200 pages.
A list of victims' names and phone numbers.
A list of victims' names and phone numbers. That sounds like a list, folks. I'm not sure what they're saying when there is no list.
Okay. They say there is no list, and we suspected that that was semantics, because here is Pam Bondi acknowledging before getting additional documents. This is what she already had before getting additional documents. Flight logs, which tell you where planes went and who was on the planes. Epstein's list of contacts, which, by the way, is also available. I looked at it. Ivanka Trump is on there. All sorts of people are on there.
Now, I've seen the flight log, so there is definitely a flight log. At least is one floating around. Obviously, you can't fully substantiate it to the highest level, but there is flight log, so he is accurate about it. And there's some prominent names all over the place.
And a list of the victims' names and phone numbers. Damn, that does sound like the Epstein list, which they now...
I believe from what I'm seeing in the media and also even in the chat and everybody that has been communicating with me about this, that's the list that we're looking for, folks. What is going on? How come they're saying there's no list when this letter substantiates, at least written by Pam Bondi, that there's a victims list?
Claim what to have. Pam Bondi goes on to say, I repeatedly questioned whether this was the full set of documents responsive to my request, and was repeatedly assured by the FBI that we had received the full set of documents. Late yesterday, I learned from a source that the FBI field office in New York was in possession of thousands of pages of documents related to the investigation and indictment of Epstein. So here Pam Bondi is saying, not only do I have 200 pages of documents, which certainly meet the colloquial definition of the Epstein list, she is aware of something that is at least 5 times larger, right? At least 1,000 pages. And she says thousands, so it actually could be at least 10 times larger or more than what she already has. And now we're supposed to believe there's no list? The FBI had thousands of pages conforming to what we colloquially know of as a list, and Pam Bondi had hundreds of pages of what would be a list.
Okay, Michelle says, I completely believe they have documents. The government is hiding something, and it looks very suspicious. Absolutely, Michelle. Shout out to you. Great comment. Something does not add up when it comes to this list. I think this gentleman here, I follow his channel. He's very reliable in most cases. Eric, thank you. He says, please like the channel. Thank you very much.
And she goes on to say, despite my repeated requests, the FBI never disclosed the existence of these files. When you and I spoke yesterday, you were just as surprised as I was to learn this new information. By 8 a.m. tomorrow, the FBI will deliver the full and complete Epstein files to my office, including all records, documents, audio and video recordings, and materials related to Jeffrey Epstein and his clients, regardless of how such information was obtained. There will be no withholdings or limitations to my or your access. So there's three important aspects to this letter. Number one, Pam Bondi acknowledges having 200 pages of documents that are certainly a list. The flights, who was on them, Epstein's contacts, and victim names. That's a list. Okay, she had it. Now she says she doesn't. The FBI, according to Pam Bondi in this letter, had...
At first, I was thinking perhaps it was just a discrepancy between the files and the list. But after understanding more about this letter that came out and how these guys were able to get it from public request, it makes me wonder, like, what is someone trying to hold back from the general public? So I'm definitely with you, Michelle.
Thousands of pages compared to Pam Bondi's hundreds, thousands of pages, which the FBI has also said, we don't have anything either. Over the last 10 days, we've heard from the DOJ, we have nothing, and the FBI, we have nothing. So that's lie number two. And then thirdly, it would be interesting to get a definitive answer. Did the FBI comply with the Attorney General's demand that by the following morning, February 28th, the full files be delivered? If they didn't, why were they allowed to get away with that? And if they did, why does Pam Bondi now, with hundreds of her own files and thousands of additional documents from the FBI, claim that she has nothing? The stuff is happening in plain sight. It's happening in plain sight. And Trump is so triggered.
So it seems like it's beyond Donald Trump and Pam Bondi, if also the Department of Justice and also, obviously the FBI is also hedging on putting out the list, right? Okay, very good. Thank you. Angela Bordo says, are y'all at work? Okay, thank you.
That he is now going after a sitting senator.
Bright future for my...
Okay, so we're going to switch topics. Here's another hot clip that we're going to go through that came out within the last week or so. This gentleman took a trip to Canada. It appears that he goes there all the time, quite frequently, at least once a year, and he was not allowed to get back into the country. He's been here since he was 3 years old, folks. Be careful when you travel. This is a different climate, different environment that we're living in, everybody. It's very serious. I'm thinking twice about traveling. You won't find out any issues until you try to come back in.
5 American children. But now I feel a little differently.
Chris Landry has lived in New Hampshire since he was 3 years old. He has a partner, 5 children, and a job in manufacturing. He was stopped at the border in Holton, Maine on Sunday while returning from a family vacation to Canada. Landry says he goes to Canada at least once a year and has never had a problem until now.
So you can understand that doing your normal travels, right? A lot of people go back to visit family, especially people like in Jamaica, Mexico. A lot of their families still exist where they came from. Imagine you're taking your yearly trip and you run into this problem. Shout out to you. Uda On Go is in the building. Check out Uda. He has a very good channel. Salute Watching the World. Everyone watching now, please drop a like. Thank you for the support. Mashona gave you a shout out as well. Okay, salute back to you. So let's see what happened to him in his own words, folks.
Why do you think this time it's a problem?
Because of the new administration and their new policies.
In 2004 and 2007, Landry faced charges of marijuana possession and driving with a suspended license, but says he's had no criminal record since. He was given a suspended sentence and paid his fines.
So I never thought that would threaten my status as a resident of the United States.
So a major development in the alleged cover-up.
Okay, so we see what happened to that gentleman. So please keep in mind, we have a different policy going on with the new administration. We have Roy Tater says, deport back to Africa. Okay, is that everyone, Roy, or just a few people? Tell us what you think. Roy, deport. Okay, why Africa? All right. Michelle says, yeah, I saw this one on the news. Very crazy climate now. Yes, indeed, it is. Gray TV says, Roy, and back to Europe. Let's go. All right. So we have people looking to travel and travel fast. Some want to go back to Africa. Some should go back to Africa. Some should go back to Europe. That's the debate in the comments. Okay, guys. Mashona says, please like, share, and subscribe and support the channel. Thank you, Mashona, for your great work. All right, let's get back to a different story here. This is about Joe Biden. What was Joe Biden doing for his 4-year term? Well, according to the Trump administration, he was using that auto pen. Folks, do you have an auto pen? Do you need an auto pen? Maybe that's the new way to run your company. Get an auto pen, folks. It may not last long, but let's check this out.
Of Biden's decline, one of Biden's top aides admitted she was authorized to use the auto pen signatures without knowing who in the president's inner circle was giving her final clearance. This, as Joe Biden's former aide, Anthony Bernal, bailed on his scheduled testimony for the congressional investigation. Former counsel to the president, President Trump as well. Fox News contributor Kellyanne Conway joins us now. So Kellyanne, how does...
So one of Joe Biden's administration high up, she was given that auto pen and was allowed to do whatever she wanted to that was based on information coming from, I guess she wasn't clear on exactly who was running the show.
Does this work? Who gives the order for the signature? It's normally the president, but it doesn't look like that happened.
This is an important story for the American public because the role of staff secretary, which was occupied by Neera Tanden in the Biden White House, that person controls the paper flow in and out of the Oval Office. So often, Lawrence, when you see President Trump sitting behind the Resolute desk in his second term, you see his staff secretary, Will Scharf, handing him the executive orders and explaining to him and us, since the cameras are on, what the purpose of that executive order is. For Neera Tanden to testify under oath yesterday that she, quote, had very little interaction with the President of the United States, with the Commander-in-Chief, Joe Biden.
Okay, so what do you guys think? If she says she had very little interaction with Joe Biden, why do you think, what was the missing link here? What was Joe Biden doing? How would you explain this if her testimony is absolutely correct? What was Joe Biden doing, folks? Let's talk about it.
Is just remarkable, and it is derelict of duty because we always say the chief of staff is the people flow, but the staff secretary is the paper flow. The staff secretary in President Trump's administrations is so important that they posted a member of the staff secretary's office in the outer oval toward the end of the first term because the volume and velocity with which President Trump operates necessitates that constant paper flow. What is the role of staff secretary? Neera Tanden's job, Will Scharf's job, is to make sure that everything is vetted. A president has options at his disposal. And to do that, you have to look the president in the eye, make sure they see the options. She's admitting that she wasn't part of the inner circle, that other people were making the decisions, and then the auto pen.
So according to her, she was not a part of the inner circle, but she had access to this auto pen. Udo on Go says, make being good great again. That's a very good slogan. Mill says, MAGA PDFs crying about the auto pen. What the F is going on? Okay. Mashona says, let's get those likes up. Okay. Thank you very much.
Was all fired up. And Neera Tanden, look, this is somebody who is a hyper-partisan figure. They had her pull her Senate-confirmed positions in the first couple months of the Biden term. He gave her one that was non-Senate confirmed because before then, as now, she runs really the heart of the resistance, the Center for American Progress. So this is important because under oath, she admitted that she doesn't know who made those decisions.
But how's the staff secretary not in the inner circle when they're the ones, everything that the president signs, they place in front of the president?
They do.
So you're in the inner circle. You're right there with the president every single day, right?
Yes, and in President Trump's administrations, we all see it. He's the most transparent, forward-facing. Will Scharf is probably now a household name and face because of the way President Trump operates. So
the staff secretary was not in the inner circle. Big Mo says, so you want to accuse someone that had no idea what that person was doing, but blame it on Biden? I guess that's what they're saying. David said, stop. David also says, stop watching Fox News. It is fake news. We cover everything around here. We don't just focus on just one news station. That's how you get more of a balanced idea of what's happening. Okay, McKnight says, laugh out loud, Big Mo. yet get quiet when someone leaks 2 signal messages but says it's okay. All right. Travel Hippie says, what about the Epstein cover up? So when it comes to children, I don't want to say those words, folks. I'd ask you kindly, please do not put things in the chat that are that derogatory or go against the YouTube rules. Okay. So please rephrase that, traveling hippies. Mac Knight says, I don't believe Fox News or the fact they're willing to pay the employees 2 lines. Okay, I understand that. We show pretty much all the stations. We're covering clips that came out today, and we don't just pull them from one TV outfit, folks. Mills says Joe Biden is no longer president. He's in the news, though. He's not the president, but he's in the news, folks. Okay, so it looks like we're frozen again. I don't know why that happens. All right, let's see here. Okay, so I guess we have a malfunction of the videos. I'm not sure why that's the case, so we'll keep moving. Mill says, well, we already covered that. Michelle says, this is another example of this administration. They like to distract you from what the real news is. Okay, very good. So what is the real news, Michelle, that's going on right now that everybody's talking about? Well, for the most part, it's about this whole Epstein saga, right? But for the most part, MAGA does not want to talk about that. I can understand that. They want to move on from it, but they don't want to let Donald Trump off of the hook, folks. He's still on the hook, but Donald Trump wants it to go away. Rob says MAGA people never want to take responsibility for their problems. Okay, solid point. Mashona says, please be mindful of your language in the chat. We don't want to put people in timeout, but we have to follow the YouTube rules. Okay, folks, we want to follow the rules. Okay, so when it comes to everybody in the audience, what do you guys think when it comes to the documents? We went through the letter. Do you really think that there's a list according to the letter that was presented in this video? Do you guys think that that's just a hoax? Is the letter made up, or did Pam Bondi write that letter back in February stating that, yeah, over 200 pages, and in those pages you have the flight logs, you also have the name and the contact information for the victims. So what do you guys think? You think it's true? It's amazing. This is the first time I've played a Joe Biden video just to show different things across the board, and I'm actually getting more pushback for presenting Joe video versus the Donald Trump videos that I present mostly all the time, folks. So that's interesting. So some in the audience are saying yes, facts, yes. So you do think that this is some sort of cover up? And why do you think that this is the case? Do you think it involves the president directly, or do you think he's trying to protect someone else? What do you guys think? All right, Mary says they're trying to cheat on the election, but the Epstein files need to be investigated and the abuser need to be made accountable for these actions. Vote any corrupt Republicans out of office. Okay. Mary, thanks for participating. I appreciate your comments. Thanks for the like, share, and the subscriptions. I appreciate it. It's awesome. Leo says, wake up, digger. You should be concerned about the black murders in your neighborhood. Okay. All right. So that's Leo's take. Michelle says, yes, it's a list, Mel, and they are covering up something. Okay. Very good. Mashona says Dems or Republicans don't want that list out. Now, why didn't Joe Biden put the list out? Some people say it's because of Ghislaine Maxwell, because of her legal woes, and she was going through all of her court and trial and so forth. But I think it could be a little deeper than that. I don't think that happened or occurred for the entire 4 years. Rob says, I really believe that there's a lot of powerful people are involved. Okay. That's what many are saying, especially from the list that, or the letter that was read, it kind of alluded to that fact. Perhaps there's more than meets the eye, because according to that letter that Pam Bondi wrote back in February, allegedly, according to what we showed in the first video, the FBI was involved, and also obviously the Department of Justice. But again, these individuals are not pushing out this list. It's funny how Elon Musk seems to be the individual that's releasing all the information that's rather incriminating, right? Or because of his pushback on Donald Trump, I think that's when this discussion really came to the fore. Michelle says, I agree, Rob. Okay, Rob, you have people agreeing with you here. Great comment. Mashona says, too many wealthy people on the list. So remember, Donald Trump had Doge, which I showed the video, I believe it was yesterday at lunch, where Donald Trump says that he may have to, one of the reporters had asked Donald Trump, hey, listen, are you going to deport Elon Musk? And he says, we'll have to take a look at that. He says that Doge is the monster that may have to come back and eat Elon Musk, folks. Can you imagine that? This was the guy that his role was to clean up and find the missing money or what have you, save money for the government. And now this individual that Donald Trump had in his office, and he was there with his son, he really validated the man, right? Donald Trump won. He validated Elon Musk. And now Elon Musk is pointing out the discrepancies with Donald Trump, saying that Donald Trump is on the list. So if you believe Elon Musk when Donald Trump had validated him, is he a liar now? What made him so untruthful all of a sudden? Because he's pushing back. And not only that, Elon Musk is now creating his own, you might as well say his own, because he's the one starting it. He wants to start this third political party called America First, right? Now, here's my question to you guys in the audience. Can Elon Musk run for president? You know where he's from, right? He's from South Africa, I believe. Can he run for president, or can he influence the installment of a president? Well, we've seen that before, because Elon Musk put out, what, 250 million so that Donald Trump could win the presidency. That's a lot of power, folks. And he was given pretty much full or great authorization to the White House and all of the records, right? He even put together his own team. And now Donald Trump is saying we may have to kick Elon Musk out. This is a weird story. There's a lot. But remember, keep in mind that Elon Musk is a person that really, because he got upset with Donald Trump, he's the one that's saying Donald Trump is on the Epstein list. And now everybody's talking about this list. It's really like a chess player, right? He did a power move on the president. Okay, Michelle says that was threat to tell him to be quiet. Okay, Rob says Elon had access to a lot of classified information. 47 took him for granted. That is so true, Rob. You're right on the money. Thank you for being here, Rob. I appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you back. Mill says Elon has seen the list. It appears to be that he's seen the list. Elon does not come across as a guy that makes things up. He performs at a high level. Now, I don't know him individually, but I do study him from a stock market perspective, because I invested a lot in Tesla and so forth. So I study the moves. But he doesn't come across as being a guy that makes up salacious stories. So, and now we're starting to see from the letter that I showed you at the beginning of the video, for those of you who just came in or came in late, if you go back and look at the beginning of the video, you'll see a letter that was pulled that shows that Pam Bondi does substantiate that there were a list. And on the list, there are victims and their contact information. Sounds like a list to me. So this is something that we have to factor into the situation. Jay says, back to Africa would be great. Okay. Shout out to you, Jay. Michelle says no. Geraldo says no. Rob says yes. Okay. And Corey says laugh out loud. Geraldo says, yeah, money. And Corey says Harris had so much more. Okay, so Harris had a lot more than that. Wow. Rob says he can influence the next election. Okay. Do you really think a third party could really beat the one of the main Democratic or Republican parties? We haven't really seen that a lot in our lifetime. So that's going to be a tough journey. But Elon Musk is one of the richest guys in the world, if not the richest. So we'll just have to see what happens, folks. Mashona says, the Rick, please watch your language. Okay, Rob says no. All right, folks. So we've covered a lot of ground today when it comes to what's latest with these allegations in regards to Donald Trump and also Elon Musk. But this is the first time that I've seen Donald Trump rather flustered. This is the first time. Remember, we've seen a lot of allegations. I went to Donald Trump's trial, and I was sat in the same courtroom. Donald Trump would walk past me a lot in the courtroom as he would come, in and out of the courtroom, obviously. And I didn't see him this. He seemed very distracted. The case did not apply as much pressure, it appears, as what's happening now. And what he's trying to prevent or does not necessarily want to come out. Donald Trump wants the American people, even his MAGA members. Yesterday at lunch, I showed the video where he said that the individuals of MAGA who are not letting go of this whole Epstein story, that they're stupid. The words came out of his mouth right there at the White House. And he also says that they're basically subscribing to these lies of the Democrats. So what do you guys think? Is that's what's happening, folks? Mashona says no, just deter the votes. Okay. Talib says the concern is election interference and it's disturbing. Okay, very disturbing. Boyd says Trump's not even giving Ukraine anything. He's making Europe buy the weapons from us so they can give them to Ukraine. But that's like she's saving the world. Okay. Thank you, Void. Thanks for coming through and expressing yourself. We enjoy having you here. Mashona says he knows the list can be detrimental, whether it's released or hidden. Okay. There must be some heavy artillery on this list. I'm definitely following this story every day to see if we can find out what's on the list. I think it might be a defining moment in the president's, in maybe his final 4 years here, or they're trying to say he could run again. We know that that's far-fetched, but who knows? We're living in a climate where they make up the rules as they go. Michelle says he doesn't know what other people have on him. Exactly. Mashona says detrimental to Trump and many wealthy people that will be ruined. I think a lot of people will fall. I think maybe the list shows just how decrepit leaders are, religious people, a lot of politicians. When you see that they're capable, perhaps, of doing some tough things, maybe that's the message they don't want the average Joe to know. Maybe that's it, folks. Okay. Talib says Trump trained his base to never let go of conspiracies, and they handed them a conspiracy with him as the core of it. The belief is strong in Epstein. Epstein has become ingrained in the minds of a lot of these conspiracy theorists, and it looks like they're making Donald Trump sit in that seat, and they may not let him go until he cough up what they're looking for. Rob says 47 doesn't have the real fixer on his payroll anymore. Okay. Michelle says, Michonne, okay. The Rick says Trump is trying to deflect. His action speaks volumes. Okay. All right. A lot of people are saying that. Tim is back in the building. Shout out to you, Tim. Welcome back. Wake up, America. Yes, indeed. Wake up. Michelle says, Mel, that's it exactly. Thank you, Michelle. And Mashona says, agreed, Mel. That list will show that these people will fall off the pedestal they have been on and been put on. Okay. It's going to be a hard fall. Tim, no list will ever appear. Okay. All right. The Rick says PDF files. Okay. That's what they are. All right, folks. We covered a lot of ground today. This is our time. I know everybody has to get back to their work or whatever you do. Thank you for tuning in for our little lunch hot clips. We were able to get through quite a few to see what's happening in the news, and so you guys can stay in the know. So we'll see you guys back again on Monday at noon. Last night for our show, we had 37,000 people. At the end, we covered the stock market. Today, we won't get too deeply into that, but I will tell you that some of the stocks that we have looked at are soaring through the roof, folks. They're going to the sky. So continue to research these things, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And again, thank you to all the moderators. Thank you to Eric. Thank you to Michelle. Thanks, Michonna. Thanks to all of you guys. And Rob says 47 has taken his base for granted. Isn't that something? Tyler, same thing to you. Have a good one. And Michonna says, I see. See you guys soon. Thank you.
Different voices, but the same song. Loving a world where we all belong. Kindness leading the way, breaking the chains. In the symphony of love, the thing remains. Embracing diversity, brighter days in sight. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. The colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.